Shattered glass. Maya Chen wiped her palms against her burgundy cocktail dress for the third time that evening. The annual Culinary Excellence Awards buzzed around her, a symphony of clinking glasses and practiced laughter. At 32, she should have felt at home among these people. After all, she'd been dating Dominic Reed, the city's most influential restaurant critic, for nearly 3 years. "Stop fidgeting," Dominic whispered, his smile never wavering as he nodded to a passing chef. "You look nervous, and these people can smell weakness like sharks." Maya nodded, trying to calm her racing heart. She'd spent 15 years perfecting her craft, rising from a dishwasher to head pastry chef at Lumiere. Yet in these circles, standing beside Dominic, she still felt like an imposter. "There's Julian Mercer," Dominic nodded toward a silver-haired man holding court near the champagne fountain. "His new restaurant just got its second Michelin star. We should congratulate him." Maya followed, glass in hand, admiring how Dominic navigated the room with such confidence. It was what had first attracted her to him, that unwavering self-assurance that made everything seem possible. When they'd met during his review of Lumiere, his praise of her transcendent chocolate soufflé had changed her career overnight. "Julian, congratulations!" Dominic extended his hand. "Well deserved." The men exchanged pleasantries while Maya stood beside them, smiling politely. When Julian asked about her work, she brightened. "Actually, I've been developing a new concept. Traditional Asian desserts with French techniques. I've been thinking about opening a small patisserie focusing on—" "Maya dreams big," Dominic interrupted with a laugh that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Though I keep telling her to focus on refining her classics before experimenting too much." Maya felt her smile freeze in place. "Well, I think innovation is important in our field," she continued. "In fact, I've already started looking at potential spaces in the West District." The conversation paused. Julian raised an eyebrow, and Dominic's expression hardened imperceptibly. "You've been looking at spaces?" Dominic asked, his voice deceptively light. "Just preliminary research," she replied, suddenly aware of the tension. "Nothing concrete yet." "Sounds ambitious," Julian commented. "The West District is booming." Dominic's laugh was sharp. "It's also wildly expensive and oversaturated. Let's be realistic." The conversation shifted, but Maya felt Dominic's mood darkening beside her. When Julian excused himself, Dominic gripped her elbow and steered her toward a quieter corner of the ballroom. "What was that?" he demanded, voice low but intense. "We've never discussed you opening a place in the West District." "Because you always dismiss the idea whenever I bring up having my own place," Maya responded, keeping her voice steady. "I've been saving for years, Dominic. This isn't just a whim." His eyes narrowed. "And you think you're ready? Your chocolate work is excellent, but your pastry has always been inconsistent. The critics would tear you apart." The words stung, but Maya stood straighter. "That's not fair. You know how much I've developed my—" "What I know," he cut in, voice rising, "is that you're being naive about what it takes to succeed. Do you have any idea how many talented chefs fail every year?" People nearby began to glance their way. Maya touched his arm, trying to defuse the situation. "Maybe we should discuss this later." "No, let's discuss it now," Dominic said, louder still. "Since you've already been making plans behind my back, Dominic, please." "Please what? Coddle you? Tell you that your half-baked ideas will work when we both know they won't?" His voice had reached a near shout now, and a circle of space had formed around them. "This is exactly why you're still a pastry chef and not a restaurateur. You don't understand the business." The room fell silent. Dozens of eyes turned toward them, award-winning chefs, food critics, restaurant owners, all witnessing her humiliation. Maya stood paralyzed, her cheeks burning. "You're embarrassing yourself," Dominic hissed, then turned and walked away, leaving her alone in the center of a room full of whispers and pitying glances. That night, as tears slid silently down her cheeks, Maya made a decision that would change everything. Silent exodus. Maya's apartment felt different that night. The exposed brick wall she once found charming now seemed to close in around her. She sat cross-legged on her bed, surrounded by photographs that chronicled her 3 years with Dominic. smiling faces that now felt like strangers. Her phone had been buzzing incessantly. 12 missed calls, 7 text messages, all from him. I'm sorry. I was stressed about the Mercer review. You know how these events make me tense. Please call me back. We need to talk. The last one, sent at 2:17 a.m. You're overreacting. This is childish. Maya placed the phone face down and continued packing. Each item she folded represented a choice. What to keep, what to leave behind. By sunrise, 3 suitcases stood by her door, and a note lay on the kitchen counter. I deserve better. Don't contact me again. She'd called in sick to work for the first time in 5 years. Her next call was to her old college roommate, Zoe, who didn't hesitate. Stay as long as you need. I've got plenty of room. 2 days later, Maya stood in Zoe's sunlit guest room staring at her phone. Dominic had progressed from apologies to anger to concern. She blocked his number, deleted her social media accounts, and emailed her resignation to Lumiere. The weight that lifted from her shoulders was immediate and startling. You sure about this? Zoe asked from the doorway, nursing a cup of coffee. Maya nodded. I stayed too long already. I just couldn't see it. Well, Zoe said, since you're officially unemployed, I might know someone you should talk to. Remember Gabriel Santos from culinary school? He runs a community cooking program now. They're looking for instructors. Maya remembered Gabriel. Quiet, thoughtful, with hands that created the most intricate sugarwork she'd ever seen. They'd been close once, before careers and ambitions had pulled them in different directions. Before Dominic. Is he still in the city? Maya asked. 3 blocks from here, actually. The program's called Second Helpings. They teach cooking skills to underprivileged kids and adults transitioning back into the workforce. The next morning, Maya stood outside a converted warehouse with large windows showcasing a gleaming industrial kitchen. Inside, a tall man with broad shoulders was demonstrating knife skills to a group of teenagers. His dark hair was shorter than she remembered, with touches of silver at the temples, but his smile, warm and genuine, was exactly the same. When he looked up and saw her through the glass, his knife paused mid-chop. The recognition in his eyes was immediate. Maya Chen, Gabriel said minutes later, wiping his hands on his apron before embracing her. It's been what, 8 years? 7.5, she corrected, surprising herself by remembering so precisely. Your program looks amazing. It's messy and underfunded, but we're doing good work, he replied with a shrug. Zoe mentioned you might be looking for something new. Maya hesitated. I quit Lumiere. I'm making some changes. Something in her expression must have communicated more than her words, because Gabriel's smile softened. Changes can be good. We pay terribly. The hours are long, and these kids will test your patience daily. His eyes crinkled. But I guarantee it's the most rewarding cooking you'll ever do. For the first time in days, Maya laughed. A real laugh that reached her eyes. When do I start? That night, lying in Zoe's guest bed, Maya scrolled through apartment listings, ignoring the knot of anxiety in her stomach. Starting over at 32 wasn't part of her plan. Neither was the devastating bank balance she'd discovered when closing her joint accounts with Dominic. Her phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. The kids loved your impromptu macaron lesson today. You've still got the magic touch. Welcome to the team. Gabriel attached was a photo of a teenage girl proudly holding up a slightly lopsided but perfectly golden macaron. Maya felt something warm unfurl in her chest, something that felt dangerously like hope. Rising embers. 3 months passed in a blur of flour-dusted aprons and small victories. Maya settled into a tiny studio apartment above a Vietnamese grocery store, its compact kitchen becoming her sanctuary. Each weekend, she experimented with new recipes that combined her classical French training with the flavors of her Chinese heritage. At Second Helpings, Maya discovered a passion for teaching she never knew she possessed. Her Tuesday adult class included a former accountant rebuilding his life after prison, a grandmother raising 3 grandchildren alone, and a shy young woman who had escaped domestic violence. Their determination humbled her. Gabriel proved to be everything Dominic wasn't: patient, supportive, and genuinely interested in her ideas. They fell into an easy rhythm, working side by side, often staying late to prepare for the next day's classes. "Try this," Maya said one evening, offering Gabriel a spoon of warm custard infused with jasmine tea and orange blossom. He closed his eyes as he tasted it. "That's incredible." The floral notes with that hint of bitterness at the end. He opened his eyes, looking at her with undisguised admiration. "This is what you were talking about that night, isn't it? Asian flavors with French techniques?" Maya froze. "What night?" "The Culinary Excellence Awards last year. I was there representing Second Helpings. I overheard you talking about your concept before." He trailed off, clearly regretting bringing it up. "Before Dominic humiliated me," Maya finished quietly. "Yes, same concept." Gabriel studied her for a moment. "You know he was wrong, right? About all of it, but especially about your talent." Maya busied herself with wiping down the counter. "Maybe, but he wasn't wrong about how hard the business is. I've been running the numbers, and opening even a small patisserie would take more capital than I have." "What about pop-ups? Less overhead, less risk. We have this space on weekends." The idea took root immediately. Within 3 weeks, Sweet Origins was born, a Sunday morning pop-up featuring Maya's unique pastries. The first event sold out within hours, helped by Gabriel's connections throughout the city's culinary community. By the 5th Sunday, lines formed around the block. Food bloggers posted rapturous reviews of her jasmine tea eclairs and red bean millefeuille. Local chefs started appearing, curious about the buzz. Maya barely noticed when one of those customers turned out to be Julian Mercer, the 2-starred chef from the gala. He returned the following week with the owner of an upscale food hall in, of all places, the West District. "They want me to open a permanent stall," Maya told Gabriel that evening as they cleaned up. "With potential investment for a full patisserie if it goes well." Gabriel's face lit up. "Maya, that's incredible." She hesitated. "It would mean cutting back hours here." "This place exists to help people follow their dreams," he said softly. "That includes you." Something shifted between them in that moment. Maybe it was the late hour, or the glow of possibility surrounding her. But when Gabriel tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch lingered. "I've missed you," he said simply. "Even when we weren't talking all those years, I missed knowing you were out there, creating beautiful things." Maya felt her heart quicken. "I missed you too." When he leaned forward, his kiss was gentle, questioning. Maya responded with 7 years of forgotten longing and 3 months of newfound clarity. They fit together perfectly, his arms strong around her waist, her hands in his hair. Later that night, scrolling through his social media to see what she'd missed during their years apart, Maya discovered something unexpected, a food blog post from exactly 1 year ago. A scathing review of Dominic's latest book, calling out its arrogant dismissal of innovation and thinly veiled sexism toward female chefs. The author, Gabriel Santos. Across town, Dominic Reed stared at his computer screen, reading about Maya Chen's rising success and the business partner who stood beside her in every photograph, the same man who had so publicly criticized him a year earlier. Unexpected encounters. 6 months had transformed Maya's life beyond recognition. Sweet Origins had evolved from a weekend pop-up to a permanent fixture in the trendy West District food hall, with lines that never seemed to diminish. Her signature creations, especially the lychee rose croissants and black sesame Paris breast, had earned mentions in national food publications. Maya divided her time between the food hall and Second Helpings, where she still taught 2 classes a week. Her relationship with Gabriel had deepened into something neither rushed nor tentative, a partnership built on mutual respect and shared passion. "You should be the one doing this interview," Maya told Gabriel as she prepared for a meeting with Culinary Quarterly. They stood in her apartment kitchen, where measuring cups and prototype pastries covered every surface. Gabriel wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Not a chance. This is your spotlight, and you've earned every second of it." She turned in his embrace. "We're partners in this. I wouldn't have gotten here without you." "You would have," he insisted, kissing her forehead. "Maybe a different path, but you were always destined for this." The magazine interview took place at a fashionable cafe near the food hall. Maya arrived early, reviewing her notes while nursing a cappuccino. When the journalist entered, Maya's welcoming smile froze. Walking beside the writer was Dominic Reed. Maya, the journalist, a woman named Rebecca, extended her hand. Such a pleasure. I hope you don't mind, but I invited Dominic to join us. He's writing a piece on emerging pastry chefs for the magazine, and your name keeps coming up. Dominic looked different, thinner, with new lines around his eyes. His smile seemed forced. Hello, Maya. It's been a while. Maya maintained her composure, years of professional kitchen work serving her well. What a surprise. She gestured to the empty chairs. Please, join me. The interview proceeded with excruciating politeness. Rebecca asked about Maya's journey, her inspirations, her fusion of cultural influences. Dominic mostly observed, occasionally interjecting questions about technique or business challenges. And what about your partnership with Gabriel Santos? Rebecca asked. I understand you two knew each other from culinary school? Something shifted in Dominic's expression at Gabriel's name. Gabriel is extraordinary, Maya said carefully. He reminds me daily why we chose this profession, to create moments of joy through food, to nurture community. Quite the change from high-end restaurant work, Dominic commented, his first direct engagement. Maya met his gaze steadily. The best change I've ever made. When Rebecca excused herself to take a phone call, Maya and Dominic sat in uncomfortable silence. You look well, he finally offered. Success suits you. Thank you, she replied, then added with deliberate emphasis, I am well. I've tried your pastries, he admitted. They're remarkable. Better than anything you made at Lumiere. I have more freedom now to follow my instincts. He nodded, understanding the implication. Maya, about that night. Don't, she interrupted. It doesn't matter anymore. It does to me, he insisted. I was wrong. About you, about your vision, about how I treated you. I've spent a lot of time thinking about why our relationship became what it did. Maya studied him, searching for the manipulative subtext she'd come to expect, but found only resignation. And what did you conclude? That I was afraid, he said simply. Afraid you'd outgrow me, which you did. Afraid of losing control, which I have. I read your profile in Food and Wine last month. Redefining classic pastry with bold, authentic flavors. That's exactly what you said you wanted to do that night at the gala. Before Maya could respond, Rebecca returned. The rest of the interview passed in a blur. When it concluded, Dominic lingered. I'm covering the Culinary Excellence Awards again next month, he said. I heard you're being honored for innovation. Maya nodded. Life has a sense of irony, doesn't it? Will Santos be your +1? There was resignation in the question. Yes, she replied without hesitation. He will. Walking back to the food hall afterward, Maya called Gabriel. As she described the unexpected encounter, she realized something surprising. The anger that had fueled her for so long had faded, replaced by something quieter, but stronger. She didn't need Dominic's approval anymore, nor did she need to prove him wrong. She had simply outgrown the shadow he once cast. Sweet Redemption. The annual Culinary Excellence Awards looked exactly as Maya remembered. Crystal chandeliers, elaborate floral arrangements, the same champagne fountain burbling in the corner. Yet everything else had changed. Maya entered on Gabriel's arm, wearing a deep emerald gown that complemented her confidence. She was no longer an accessory to someone else's evening, but a celebrated guest in her own right, here to receive the Rising Star Innovation Award. Nervous? Gabriel asked, squeezing her hand. Surprisingly, no, she replied, surveying the room. Many faces turned in her direction, offering smiles of recognition and nods of respect. Near the bar stood Dominic, engaged in conversation with Julian Mercer. His eyes met hers briefly across the room. A silent acknowledgement passed between them before Maya turned her attention elsewhere. The first half of the evening unfolded with speeches and award presentations. When Maya's category was announced, she squeezed Gabriel's hand one last time before making her way to the stage. Standing at the podium, award in hand, she faced the sea of culinary elites who had witnessed her humiliation a year earlier. "Thank you for this honor," she began. "A year ago, I was told that my dreams were unrealistic, that innovation was risky in an industry that values tradition above all else." Her eyes found Dominic in the crowd, but there was no malice in her gaze. "That criticism, painful as it was, forced me to question everything. Not just my techniques or flavor combinations, but why I became a chef in the first place." She smiled. "I remembered it was never about critics or stars or validation. It was about creating something that brings joy, that tells a story, that honors where we come from while exploring where we might go." Maya gestured toward the second helpings table, where several of her students sat beaming with pride. "It was also about community, finding people who believe in you even when you've stopped believing in yourself." Her eyes found Gabriel, whose expression held such tender pride that it nearly brought tears to her eyes. "So this award belongs to everyone who has supported my journey, especially the team at Second Helpings and my partner in every sense, Gabriel Santos, who reminded me that true innovation comes from authenticity and courage." The applause was thunderous. As Maya returned to her table, she passed Dominic's chair. He stood, offering quiet congratulations that seemed genuinely meant. Later, during the reception, Maya and Gabriel circulated through the crowd, accepting congratulations and discussing potential collaborations. The atmosphere was heady with possibility. "Chef Chen," a voice called. Maya turned to find Julian Mercer approaching with a woman she recognized as the owner of one of the city's most exclusive restaurant groups. "We've been discussing your concept," Julian said. "Adeline is interested in backing a full restaurant, not just a patisserie." The conversation that followed was surreal. Talk of locations, investors, creative control. When they stepped away, Gabriel looked at Maya with wide eyes. "That just happened," he said. "How does it feel?" Maya considered the question. "Like everything's aligning exactly as it should." Across the room, she caught sight of Dominic preparing to leave. On impulse, she excused herself and approached him. "Congratulations again," he said when she reached him. "Your speech was gracious." "Thank you." She hesitated. "I want you to know, I don't harbor resentment anymore. What happened between us was necessary in its way." Dominic nodded slowly. "I've been seeing someone," he said abruptly. "A therapist, I mean. Working on things." "I'm glad," Maya replied, meaning it. "Your review comes out next week," he added. "In Culinary Quarterly." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Should I be concerned?" For the first time that evening, his smile seemed genuine. "I believe the phrase I used was revolutionary approach to pastry." "You've earned that, Maya, fair and square." When he extended his hand, she took it briefly. There was no spark, no lingering connection, just the formal closure of a chapter long since ended. Returning to Gabriel, she found him in conversation with one of her former Lumiere colleagues. When he saw her approach, his face lit up in that way that still made her heart skip. "Ready to go?" he asked. "More than ready," she replied. Outside, the night air was cool against her skin. Gabriel wrapped his jacket around her shoulders as they waited for their car. "You know," he said, "a year ago today I watched you walk out of that gala alone looking shattered. I wanted so badly to follow you, to tell you he was wrong about everything." "Why didn't you?" she asked, genuinely curious. "Because you needed to discover that for yourself." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "And because I knew somehow that our paths would cross again when the time was right." Maya stood on tiptoe to kiss him, no longer concerned about who might be watching. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "I have a confession," she whispered. I've been working on a special project, a cookbook. Sweet origins, a journey of flavors and second chances. Gabriel's smile was radiant. Maya Chen, you continue to amaze me. As their car arrived, Maya took one last look at the venue where her life had shattered and reformed. The pain of that night had transformed into something beautiful, like sugar caramelizing under heat, turning from something ordinary into something complex and golden. She slipped her hand into Gabriel's, and together they stepped into the waiting car, and into whatever sweet future awaited them.